Okay, team, here we go. Yet another Monday night. And it's cool. I've got to tell you, thinking about moving to the Northern Hemisphere is just ridiculous. 6 degrees this week. How bad is that? Let's get amongst this because we have some interesting news tonight and it's come out of left field, but we have some really good news as well. So 6th of June, how did it end up that a few weeks ago we were starting webinar number 1 for the year and we're in the middle of the year already? It just happens. Amazing that it works out that way. Anyway, everyone goes forward together. That's our tagline. We mean it. You'll be able to get help. Ms. Creamer down the Gold Coast, she has threatened to ply me with whiskey if I'll deliver some coins to her. So although she did mention this afternoon she doesn't have any whiskey left, I think she's a bit of a cupboard drinker, our Louise. I reckon it's good for your longevity. That'd be right, Miss Louise. Okay. Welcome everybody to another Monday night. Let's run through our legal stuff. Remember, we're expressing our views as affiliates only. We don't represent the companies that we talk about, and we do not, under any circumstances, give you financial advice. We're very happy if you like the information we've uncovered and that you choose to do something with it, but it is what it is. It's free advice. Now, we've talked for the last few weeks about this conference that's going on in Mexico. And when they first brought it up, I was very hesitant to get excited about it because I wasn't sure how it would impact our business. But for the last few weeks, I have been absolutely blown away by the amount of information that's out there around the gaming industry and what these guys are actually doing. So it's really important for us as a group to understand that this is going to change how our blockchain is used, and it will impact all sorts of aspects of our business. So the event location is at Playa del Carmen in Mexico. And if you're at all familiar with Mexico, it's near Cozumel, near on that peninsula, Cancun, all that stuff. It's the tourist mecca of Mexico. And beautiful country there. It's beautiful, hot, just near the equator, and just lovely jungles and lots of fantastic scenery there. But I suspect, and I'm going to show you a little video tonight about how those of us that have been to a number of conferences around the world will think through and try and understand what we think is going on. But when you see this video, you'll understand that this industry, as in the gaming industry, is not as we expected. So the thing to remember is they're trying to achieve something that's not been done before. And why it's relevant is they're getting programmers from this industry, from the gaming platforms, to come together, and they've selected, now, I did say last week it was over 2,000 applicants. I've read somewhere else that it was over 5,000. So they've selected 200 of those programmers and they've brought them together in Mexico. They've paid their expenses to get there, their meals, accommodation, everything. It's free for them. So they're introducing them to the zeniq blockchain and the zeniq tokens, etc., with a view to picking their brain and hiring, if they're available and if they're interested, the top 200 programmers that they can find. So this is a really interesting process. It's a rather unique way they've gone about finding the people they want. Because if you're a programmer, a whole bunch of years ago, I started a software company and we had a room full of programmers. And we used to make jokes about the fact that we should just lock the door and slide pizza under the door, because that's all they sort of lived for. Was every now and then they'd surface, order a couple of pizzas, and they'd just disappear into that room and they'd be there for days. They wouldn't go home. That's how they live, how they look at everything is in that slanted view of the world, I suppose you'd call it. So we've talked about this. They're expecting to get out of it a lot of news from these programmers about the blockchain. And whilst I can look at the specs of the blockchain and absolutely agree that, yep, it's faster than everything else. Yep, it's unique in that it tokenizes assets. It's not just a cryptocurrency, all that sort of stuff. And when you sit down and think about what they can put on this blockchain, and we'll talk about a couple of them today, but this is the little promo that they sent out around the world. And boy, I can tell you that they really have understated what they're about to do with this promo. There are 5 areas that zeniq is looking for involvement in, 5 of them. And they're core areas that blockchain will modify how we do business today. I'm going to show you in brief what they're trying to do, and then we're going to talk about what we're doing. So the first one is gaming and the metaverse. Now, you may have noticed, some people will have noticed that if you're a Facebook junkie, you will have noticed that Facebook as an organization has changed its name to Meta. Now, if you're a cynical sort of a person, as possibly I am, you would read into that there is a really slanted shift in how Zuckerberg conducts his business. So he's trying to steal the name Meta so that we all think the metaverse was created by Meta, but actually it wasn't. That's why they changed their name, to get control of that word. But it's all about gaming and artificial intelligence and artificial reality. So that is a key component where they need speed on the blockchain and they need security. Okay, we tick all those things. The second thing is NFTs, so they're non-fungible tokens. And what that means is you can sell them and you can hold them as an asset. But if you need 1.5 tokens to pay for 4 ice creams, you can't do that. You've got to have 2 or 1. Fungibility means you can break it up into little bits and use it. So NFTs are usually designed to handle things like real estate. So let's say there's 500 tokens in a 5-acre block of land. Well, that's 100 tokens per acre. You can't sell half a token. You can sell 1 token or 500 tokens, but you can't sell half a token. So the tokenization aspect of what is happening with this blockchain is supported by the NFT process. So just make sure that you are aware that they're different, and we're going to talk more about them in a few minutes. The third thing is DeFi, decentralized finance. And boy, that is going to change our world, because we now have absolute market manipulation from the major banks in the metals industry, futures, all sorts of aspects. Every part of finance that's big business is manipulated by our banking system. And those of us that are on the outside, you and I, we don't get to play in that game because we don't have the money to do what the banks do. Decentralized finance is going to change all of that because we will have control of what we want to do. And we'll be able to build systems, all sorts of lending, investing, all sorts of financial systems that you'll be able to do without using a bank. And I can't wait. The fourth thing is the new web system that's arrived is changing, and it will change again how we use the internet. The blockchain is going to majorly affect that. The fifth thing, oh, we got DeFi in here twice. I've missed one. So build financial blockchain tools allowing anyone with internet access to lend, borrow, and bank without going through the middleman. I'll have to work out what the third one was because obviously I've copied this slide twice and I meant to change it. But there's 5 avenues here that these guys are doing. And by the way, I did that on purpose just so that you can all work out. You don't need to be smart to do this. You just got to have a go. So that is a massive project. And it doesn't matter from what angle you look at it, it is a massive project. And we as a group have come into this project from the metals end of it. So we're focused on gold and silver as a solid, dependable asset. And boy, it's going to be up there in the coming months. What's happening in the US in the markets and some other stuff that has happened in London in the last couple of days, we're going to see some changes, and we're already at least thinking in the right direction. This is a really good way to look at how this is going to come together. So the blockchain issues, DeFi, Web 3.0, tokenization, etc., will be built onto the zeniq smart chain. There's only a couple of smart chains in operation around the world, maybe 3 or 4 total that I know of. They all have issues with speed, security, all sorts of things. This one is built on a very secure blockchain, and it's very, very fast. It is orders of magnitude faster than anything else that's out there on the market. So the winners of the competition at Zencon, they're playing basically for a prize up to 100,000 euros. They will have the opportunity to work with the zeniq platform and be available as part of that operation going forward. It's amazing that they've done it this way, but why wouldn't you do it if you're really searching out those really key programmers? This is a way to get there in a very short space of time. They've got more programmers coming online all the time. I've had a number of people talk to me in the last few weeks about the possibility of contacting zeniq, and look, I don't have any connections in the hardware or software end of it. All I know is they're trying to find programmers, and if you're a blockchain specialist and you're on the call, they'd love to hear from you because they're just searching out people all over the world. So now we mentioned about early on, those of us that have been to conventions know what it looks like because they're all pretty much the same. in this little video, it's only about 60 seconds long. I want you to notice the number of backpacks that people are wearing or have on chairs beside them. It is amazing. Now I've zoomed that up from obviously from a little camera video, phone video. So we've lost a bit of the resolution, but I can tell you when you're looking at it on a small screen, some of those kids look like they're barely teenagers. And these are the elite of 5,000 applicants. And they're sitting at tables because they're testing how collectively they work together to problem solve. And they're testing their speed and efficiency. Every one of them there knows they've got a chance to walk away with 100,000 euros. That's a tidy sum for doing what you do on a Saturday afternoon anyway. So all their expenses are paid there. It's been, from my perspective, a unique way to get access to some elite programmers, and seems like it worked. They're out there writing code, changing things. And what actually has that changed? Well, 1,381% trading volume increase in the last few days. 1,381%. And yes, Cass, great to see there was girls in the crowd, lots of them. This is just, interestingly, a unique way to reflect the impact that had, because just looking at that slide, you've got to say, well, something's happening. They've lit something up. Because here you can see an actual impact on the blockchain. And I also read somewhere, I went to find it to put it in tonight, but I couldn't actually put my hands on it to do a copy and paste. Somewhere around about 29,000 blocks have been written on the blockchain in the last few days. So these young kids are really going at it, and they're kicking some goals. Obviously, they're working and ticking boxes everywhere. So what it means is the zeniq smart chain is now live. And that has a massive impact on what we're about to do with tokens, because that is the platform that our metal tokens will run on. A whole lot of other activities went on over the last few days regarding our AU4U and AG4U silver and gold tokens. We have had lots of discussions with the appropriate government departments and people who are required to be part of this process. So it's coming along really well. I'd love it to be a lot faster, but it's just going as fast as we can make it. I'd love to tell you that there was more information we could give you about it, but I can't, sadly. So all I can tell you is it's moving along really well. We are excited to get it to the point where we are now. I'm going to be a lot more excited when it's actually on the market and trading, because the existence of those tokens will benefit every person that's on this call. The way they move when they're sold, when they're traded, every single transaction will benefit the people on this call. And it's been a long time coming, but man, from what I'm seeing, it's going to be really worth it. We have an absolute head start because of A, the way the blockchain works, and B, the fact that this smart chain means there is no human intervention. Once the smart contract is audited, which it will be, that audit will be published, and there can't be any changes. It's going to work. And every time it works, we're going to get paid. That's what it's for. So we're real excited by what's happened with zeniq, and we're even more excited by what's happened at our end, where we're negotiating between the gold supplier, the exchanges, the blockchain developers. We're in the middle of it. So I'm excited to tell you about it. I'll be much more excited. You'll all hear me partying when we actually get it on the market. So I'm just going to do a run through, so we all clearly understand. AU4U is our Australian entity that does metal here in Brisbane. The zeniq blockchain is overseas. AU4U has goldrocks as a training organisation. It supplies info for free. zeniq has safir. Same deal. AU4U has physical metal here in Australia. When we set this up, we had just been dealing with an entity in Europe that decided not to send the gold out to people. So we knew that we needed an Australian supply chain. That's what we set up. The Singapore metal for tokens will come through AU4U. So the digital coins, the metal will be stored in Singapore. The reason it's in Singapore is they have one of the biggest custodial vaults in the world. They've got a 40-year history. We don't want to start to reinvent the wheel. But if you want to just hold physical metal, you can still do that here in Australia with AU4U. So you'll have the ability to have the best of both worlds. Why Singapore? Because of the custodial vault, and it's very big. So I had conversations, secondhand conversations today with one of the directors. They're pretty keen to move this forward. So the zeniq blockchain already has the Avanoc tokens moving onto it. And the Avanoc coin in the last crypto meltdown was just solid. It hardly lost anything and recovered almost instantly. So it goes to show you that a token or a coin that actually has something behind it, not a rumor, not an algorithm. And please don't any of you ever try and convince me that a stable coin backed by Bitcoin is stable. It's not. The very description of it tells you it's not going to be stable. The Avanoc token isn't a stable coin, but it has assets behind it, an actual business. It was really solid during the last meltdown. The staking is working now, and in the coming weeks, we are going to do a webinar about staking, because I think it's going to replace what people have historically done with their money, where they put it in a bank and hope they're going to get 0.5% interest and hope that the money's still there when they come back to get it in 5 years. I think staking is going to change all of that, because it's a digital system that you can see. The Tupan tokens, the first SEC regulated token in the world. Tupan runs on the zeniq blockchain. Watch this space. That's going to change everything. The zeniq coin, yep, it's the native coin on the blockchain. It's going to be very hard to buy in the coming years. There's about 8 million consumers in the pipeline with 8 projects. So they each individually bring just over 1 million users, and that's going to create a lot of traffic on that blockchain. There's 400 other projects. Think about that. I'm excited, to say the least. So what links those two spheres together? Our silver and gold tokens. They are built to link the two systems together. Revenue will come from the turnover because it's running on the smart chain. And boy, I can't wait. I'll be doing some victory laps and possibly buying a few drinks here and there. Just saying, not that I have a problem with that, mind you. So, some blockchain news. We've talked a few times about the new product that's coming onto the masternodes, and everybody that has, in zeniq, they call it Hub 01. So either a tablet or a full digital masternode, you have access to all the new projects that are coming onto the smart chain. So make sure that you understand how this is going to work, and we'll be able to run a separate little recorded session in a few days, because they're not showing us how it works until the end of Zencon. So they're saying, and this is Jinglish, so it's German English, the reservation. So you have to actually go into your website and request access, and it will be there after the Zencon event. So you can only request one go per hub. So if you own one hub, you can't register twice, so you get 2 lots of minting happening. But there's some really good news. This is a screenshot of one of the message systems that zeniq has. The NFT minting add-on, and you must have a hub for that, will mint 100 coins per day when it first turns on. So did zeniq. So when it first turns on, there's a limited number of masternodes, so they get paid more than we currently do. And they will wind down, the amount of coins that they're minting will wind down as more and more masternodes come online, and there's more and more masternodes working on the blockchain. So when they say 100% minting factor, that's supposed to mean about 100 coins per day when it goes live. But remember, you've got to have Hub 01 to do it. So if you've got a 100 euro share of a hub, a masternode, you can't turn on the secondary minting. You'll need to upgrade it to a full hub, or just wait, just sit on the coins that it's minting every day. So Housing Hub 01 also includes the tablet hubs. So both of these hubs are considered to be full masternodes. So the one on the left is the tablet, the one on the right is a digital system. And they start the tablet hubs as a digital system when you purchase the hub. When you receive it, and I haven't got mine yet, but I am frothing at the mouth waiting for the email to say it's on its way. And by the way, Cassie, not sure if the lady is on tonight who sent you a website. Can't see her there. We may have a way to eliminate any sales tax or import duty if that happens. I'm not saying it will. I just don't know. So we need to think about it, because customs, they are a power unto themselves until you challenge them very hard. So if you have that tablet or a digital housing hub 01, you can turn on the minting for the new tokens. Now, at this point, I don't know if there is a fee for that or not. And I'm not suggesting that I know there's going to be. I don't. I'm just saying I have no information on it. I hope there isn't, because that will make it really easy for everybody to do it. So just remember, you have control of it. If you have a hardware tablet, you have absolute control. You can unplug it, you can turn it off, you can use it as a frisbee, you can do whatever you like with it. If you have a digital hub, you don't need to have such good control of it. You can let it mint away and it'll do its business. So remember, this whole project started about the project financing, the reasons for tokenizing, the potential savings for companies. It's transparent. The Blockchain Explorer will tell you what's happened. You can tokenize pretty much anything that is a physical asset. You can even do some intellectual property. You've just got to have a whole lot of very clear understanding so everybody gets it, what it is that you've tokenized. Our thoughts and prayers to everyone in the Ukraine again. I know it's just been a hideous war over there, despite the Russians trying to tell us that it's not a war. There's a lot of dead people, a lot of wrecked tanks and aircraft, etc. From all intents and purposes, given that I've looked over the sights of an army rifle quite a bit, it's a war. Let's not be kidding ourselves. So what now? Make sure, and I'm going to talk a little bit about something else that's happened too. To prevent disaster, you need to hold some assets, spendable assets, and know how to protect them. It's really important that you work that out. Have a way to create a side income. You see it now in a lot of financial seminars. They're talking about constantly about having a side hustle. Well, our side hustle is becoming our main hustle, because we are on an absolute winner. A side income gives you a level of financial security. It's a long way from where we were a couple of years ago. It's a very long way from where we were in the 1970s, 80s and 90s, because we no longer have a world that we can look out the window and say, this is stable. I know where I'm going to go. I know that when I retire, I'll have a pension, because those of us that are in our later years now actually don't know that we'll have a pension. So what now? We're in the right place. It's free to add a wallet, absolutely free. Do yourself a favor, if you don't already have one, get registered, get whoever got you on the call to give you a link, get registered and set up on your phone the free wallet. It's absolutely free. There will be other things you can do and will want to do as time goes on. Coin minting starts at 100 euros and up. But given what I've just told you about what's happening and what's coming with new coins, I'd be trying to work out a way to get a full masternode if I could. And that's really one of the key things that you need to pay attention to. Stay focused on our overall package, gold, silver, crypto. We're merging all three of them. It's very, very powerful. Now have a look at this. What if we do nothing? Here's a funds manager in the US Elliott Management Corp is now suing the London Metal Exchange. This is the place where all precious metals are traded, for more than 456 million after the exchange earlier this year suspended nickel trading. And it says, and cancelled some trades. Well, I can tell you that the trades they cancelled were over 4 billion USD in value. The reason they cancelled them was they didn't want these companies to make that much money. Interesting, isn't it? The lawsuit, as it says here, is a fresh headache for the London Metals Exchange, whose actions have already drawn criticism from some market participants and prompted a review by British financial regulators. Now, if I was a conspiracy theorist, I would reckon, guess, and calculate that this has happened right at a time when somebody is trying to distract from what's happening in the world. That's only if I was a conspiracy theorist. However, so today, while I was mulling about talking about this, I thought, I wonder who owns the London Metals Exchange. Does anyone on the call know who owns it? And don't be using Google now, because I did that today. If you know who owns it, it's one word, and you can put it in the little chat window there. Because this freaked me out when I saw it. It really freaked me out. The name of the company is the Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing Limited. There's a clue in the title. 8th floor, number 2, Exchange Square, Hong Kong. Isn't that interesting? Our metals exchange market that governs precious metals trading worldwide is owned by the Chinese. Think about that. Yes, Malcolm, it's called the CCP. No, not BlackRock. The CCP owns the London's Metals Exchange. Amazing. The plot thickens. Now, I don't know that that was done on purpose, but I would be reasonably sure that there was more going on there than meets the eye, because they never do anything with an open hand. So just be aware, lots of things are changing. And boy, I was shocked when I saw that the London Metals Exchange was owned by a company in Hong Kong. What if you want some more coins? Well, you can purchase them on La Token, but it's an ugly website to use and their fees are outrageous. So I'm personally waiting until I come up on one of the zeniq exchanges, because the fees are ridiculously low. And every time one of the zeniq exchanges runs a transaction and charges a fee, we all benefit from that. Interesting system, isn't it? But if you buy a part of a hub, they'll mint free coins for you for a long time. Now, I can't tell you how long exactly. I can tell you that mine has been minting coins now for nearly a year, and the minting factor has reduced by a bit, but it's got to lose 4 decimal places before it gets to where it's run out of minting those tokens or coins. So it's an interesting way that they're doing it. I think it's really good. We'll give you more information on that as it comes to hand. You can sell them or save them depending on exactly what you want to do. I think you'd be silly to sell them at this point. They're still only around 13 to 15 cents on the exchanges, and they haven't gone live yet. The blockchain has not gone live. Everything that's happened on it up till now is testing and Zencon. it will go live. It will be in our 9th of this month. So in 3 days' time. What do you think's going to happen to the price of those coins when there's 8 million consumers trying to get hold of them to use a blockchain system that they have to use? I think it's going to go up. Don't hold me to that, but I think just reckon, guess and calculate the value is going to go up. So why are we here? We're here because we're all in the same mindset. The world is changing and we need to pay attention. When you find things like who owns the London Metals Exchange and it's Chinese, yep, pay attention. The world is changing. Here's some interesting bits of information. This Greg Menorino calls Jeanette Yellen Yellowstone. He has a very low opinion of her grey matter. And shock, horror, she's now admitted that she was wrong when she said inflation was only going to be transitory and not to worry about it. Isn't that amazing? And it's exactly what Greg Menorino said would happen. Did Russia bring back the gold standard? Well, I had somebody message me a while back and say that that had happened, but no, to save their currency, they did tie the ruble to gold in a fashion, but it's not actually tied to gold as a market price of gold. So there's a great little video there. It's 21 minutes about what actually happened and what's going to come out of that. Here's a really disturbing session. Robert Moriarty, and he's not the Moriarty from the movies. He is talking about when they bring in central bank digital currencies, if you don't have another option to do transactions, you will be a slave to your government. You can't buy groceries without their consent. You can't buy a beer without their consent. You can't buy fuel to drive to see somebody without their consent. So really interesting that even these guys at this level are looking at what we're looking at and coming out with the same outcomes. Here's another Kitco News session. This guy's saying that it is still avoidable in the US if they're smart about it. Think about that. They're politicians we're talking about. And that's why gold price is not ballooning yet. Well worth a listen. And here's our main man, Florian Heiser, here in Brisbane, talking about yet another construction company, another builder going into liquidation. And this is Solido. It's a Queensland-based company, and they build high-end houses and office buildings. I mean, high-end. So quite startling that even with their big margins, they have just gone into liquidation. There's another one that he did a couple of days after that, talking about lots of builders now going to the government saying they need a bailout. So it's just bizarre that our government's still trying to convince us that the economy is not really in bad shape. Have a look at how many builders have gone broke in the last 3 months. It's a big number. And here is a scary one. This guy's talking about the fact that the US dollar is moving up in value, which I find completely bizarre, but it is. And that's going to force a reset, because at some point the dollar becomes not viable, and we'll see what happens going forward. But anyway, we're in the right place because we've already got a heads up. Watch this space. We'll keep you in the loop. Remember, the bottom line is everything we knew as normal is gone, and it is extremely unlikely never to come back as it was before. everything is coming true that we've talked about over the last couple of years, and we're seeing it in front of our eyes. We're part of history. You don't need to be a salesperson in this business. All you need to do is want to create a system so you can become your own bank. And that's what we're about. Hold and use money in spendable assets. Make sure you protect yourself. Well, that's it for us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. If anyone's got any questions, please type in a message. If you're new on the call, get back with the person that sent you here. We can organise a one-on-one call if it's something you'd like to do. Anybody wants to talk about it? Anyone want to talk about the London Metals Exchange being owned by the CCP? Interesting, isn't it? What a turnout. I always thought the London Metals Exchange was a process that was rock solidly employed in the UK. You know, it's the London Metals Exchange, for heaven's sake. How is it that it's become owned by the Chinese Communist Party? Anyway. Okay, guys, don't see any questions coming up. Thanks, Doug and Jenny. Thanks, Chris, for chipping in. Malcolm, Cassie, Martin. Yeah, we're all on that horse, aren't we? Yes. Let's look forward to seeing everybody on the golden beaches of the world. We shall hope that you enjoyed the night and have a great night.